Within a regular expression, a quantifier specifies how many of the previous characters are allowed or required. So if we use something like U followed by the asterisk or star character, we're matching U 0 or more times. So we can have a U, no U's, or any number of U's. Where we use U and question mark, it's the same type of thing, but we're saying that we can have 0 occurrences of the U or 1, but we can't have any more. Whereas with the star, we're saying 0 or as many times as we like. With the question mark, we're saying 0 or 1. So that's where we're really making the U optional. Where we use the plus quantifier, we're saying where we want 1 or more occurrences. And where we do something like U and then the brace brackets and a number inside, we're saying we're matching exactly 3 occurrences of, in this case, U. So we can use this then to specify maybe with a space where we use /s, and then we specify well, it might be 1 or more spaces. Or if we're looking at trying to locate commented lines within a file, sometimes those comments are spaced in, and sometimes those spaces could be any amount of spaces or tabs. So it's quite useful from that instance being able to specify the number of objects that we can match. Let's go through now and work on the command line and actually put some practical basis behind these qualifiers. Working then at the command line, we can go through and work out how we can use some of these quantifiers. If I just look at my test file here, so if I just cat out the test file, you can see that I've got 3 commented lines. A commented line just starts with the hash symbol, but we can see the starting line has got a couple of tabs. Then when we move down towards the middle of the file, we have 1 space, and then the comment and the double B, and then we have the end marker at the end of the file. So it could be awkward trying to work out these comments if we needed to remove all of the commented lines. But if we use our grep-v, because of course we don't want to display these commented lines, open up then our quotes to start our search or our regular expression. And we can say that we still want it to start, and we can say that we want to start it with a white space character, so spaces or tabs. But we could say, well look, I don't care. We could have 0 spaces at the beginning, or we could have 1200 spaces at the beginning. But it has to be followed by the hash symbol. So we can then close off the quote and look through the file. And now when we look at it, we're not seeing any commented lines. So this becomes a really reliable way, irrespective of how the comments have been embedded into the file, of removing those comments. Whilst we're looking at the text here as well, we can see that we have some of the information that is start space end, start space end, and start and end. So if we want to try and work out how we can display those, then of course we can go through and do something like grep and just search for start, and we're not going to have any problem then of being able to show those lines. We can then go through and say, well okay, we want to have start space end. And of course we then just get the 1 line coming through. But if we want then start and end, whether there's a space there or not, we can then try and put the /s in here for our white space, and then specify the quantifier to say, well, I don't care how many. So now we're going to see start end as one word, and we're going to see all of the start and ends with spaces in between. So we're saying here that we're making the space optional, but there is a space. We're saying it could be any amount of spaces. If we move up and change this and put the question mark in, we're still making it optional, but we're only allowing there to be a maximum of one space. When we look at the result though, we're not getting anything coming back. So if we change this to grep minus capital E, we're now looking at an enhanced regular expression, and sometimes this is going to be needed. Occasionally people think that we would run egrep to do this, but in Linux egrep has been depreciated. It's still there, but when we start looking at the man pages, so it's been depreciated in favor of grep minus capital E for the enhanced regular expression. But either way, when we look at this, we're seeing now that we're just getting the two results, start space end and start and then end. And we could go through and more or less do what we like in here. So again, I could go through and let's say we want to see exactly the two spaces, then we go through and put the quantifier 2 in our brace brackets, and then of course have our /s before. Again, this requires an enhanced regular expression. So now we've got start space space end, but this wouldn't work if we were trying to look at 3 spaces. We would only see the 2 spaced out start and end. So our quantifiers can really begin adding a lot of information to us, especially where we start to want to look at information in a particular way. So we might want to be looking, let's say, at a postcode and saying that we need at least 2 characters. So for that we could go through, let's just go through and add in our postcode. So if I just go and look at my test here, and if we go to the end of the file, so capital G, and then just insert a new line after this, if we then have AB12 7AF, and then we could have A, and then we'll put 3 numbers and then 7EF, something like that, where the AB should match a postcode, but the A234 shouldn't. Now when we go through and go grep, we're going to say for our regular expression that we want then A through to Z, and we'll say that we want at least 2 of these, so we require 2. And then we can say followed by 0 through to 9, and then our postcode, let's say, could have 1 or 2 of these. This needs to be grep minus capital E, and of course we need to close out our quote, and then go through and look at our test file, and then we can see we pull out the 1 return, but we don't get the others. The nice thing about regular expressions that you might think there is a lot to learn, but once it has been learned, then the regular expression is going to be compliant across any system that can use it. So whether you're using Perl or Python or even PowerShell in Windows, the regular expressions that we write are going to be the same. So let's jump back now to the slides and take a look at the application that we'll be working with for DIY RS and what Danny has to perfect.